I thought it would be fun to do a studio vlog style of video, which means you're essentially in my living room because that's usually where I do my crocheting or knitting. So, hi, my name is Holly. Welcome to my Northeast Ohio home and I guess my living room and studio for the sake of this video. And there's just a few projects I have going on the hooks right now. I mostly want to finish my hexagon cardigan, and I've been debating about making something for my mom for Christmas or her birthday, which is, just, I don't even think it's a full week after Christmas actually, because she said I'm not allowed to buy her anything. So if I make it, it's not buying it. Because, I have yarn in my stash that I can use. So let's go ahead. If you want to grab a beverage, your project, whatever it is that you want to work on or, have at hand while we hang out, let's just go ahead and get crocheting together. I'm sort of super late to this trend, except that I did start it a while ago. I just set it down multiple times, and when it was time to start thinking about putting it together, I didn't have the bandwidth to figure it out. And so I guess I'm still late to the party anyway, because it's not done yet. About a year ago, I set out to make the viral hexagon cardigan, and you can see I started it. And then somewhere along the way, I lost the tab that I was working off of, and I hadn't printed it yet. And I don't know what it was where no matter how many times I tried to look at my history, I just couldn't find the actual pattern for this particular granny square cardigan. And I know a lot of them are very similar, but this one was a little unique in that in how you start the rows, you actually start kind of in a corner. And so I couldn't quite find that, but I knew how to keep going. So I kept doing the base hexagons. And then I got to a point where, no, really, it's time to put it together. Then I came across this video from Toni Lipsey for a DIY custom crochet hexagon cardigan. I mean, other than following her base granny square patterns, because there is more than one way to essentially make the same thing, I just had to translate a little bit in my brain and figure out how to put this together and widen it and add sleeves, all the fun stuff. So now I'm just kind of doing my own thing, which is the nice thing about this pattern that I have noticed so far, is that even if you kind of mess up or, have to fudge a few things, it's a pretty forgiving pattern, especially if you're starting rows in somewhere where it won't necessarily be seen by, everyone front and center on the garment. I mean, I just wanted to finish it more than anything. As much as I don't love following along a tutorial like this, especially for a large project, because there's a point where you're like, okay, and then you're off and running, and then you pause it, and then you're watching other stuff while you do that step, and then you have to come back and find it, and then restart it, and then, keep doing that about 736 times or something. So I was not thrilled, mostly with myself, not at Toni Lipsey, because some people love the YouTube video tutorial formats, and I am not taking that away from you at all. I was more annoyed at myself because I know that's not my preferred way, and I failed myself by not printing out the pattern or, bookmarking it or literally any other 2024 modern world tool at my disposal. And now I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, okay, but you had to have had it in your history. And I go through my browser history, but I'd had so many versions open of this cardigan that I forgot which one I was using. And I got nothing. There's a glitch in my brain. I don't know. I actually have made pretty good progress, as you can see, and got everything, for the back, and everything seamed up, and I'm pretty happy with it. And it's time to try it on and see where the sleeves are at. And truthfully, I'm 5'11". I really thought I was going to add a lot more length to this and, make it to fit over my bum, because I don't know, that's just normally what I do. But honestly, the more I kind of look at this, the more I'm really interested in this, hi, Madeline. this like bomber length, and especially because I want the ribbed cuff and the ribbed, well, at least the ribbed bottom. I haven't decided if I want the ribbed collar here. So we'll see where that takes me. But so far, I'm really enjoying this bomber length. And I also wanted to share a few tips along the way, because a pattern like this that I mentioned is already super forgiving, is a time when you can try a few new techniques. And again, if you hide it somewhere where you don't normally see it, that's a really good place to test out something and not have it be, you know, if you decide later on you hate it, then you're not looking at it all the time. So one way I have recently started adding on rows is, instead of doing the slip knot around the base of a stitch, is you can actually see here where I start the slip knot, and if you look at a slip knot, it looks like the top of a crochet stitch. And when it comes to a half double or a double crochet, I'm using US terms, by the way. If you can't tell by my accent, I don't know. Anyway, so it takes a little bit of practice on the half double crochet and the double crochet, and I haven't tried it for a treble because I just haven't done anything with a treble crochet lately. So it's much easier to learn and practice on a single crochet, but you can still totally learn, as you can see here, where if you hold it a certain way, and you know, you're going to use your thumbs a lot in this and manipulate it so that way you go under the stitch and pull it up like you would a double crochet. And again, you're going to have to use your thumbs and secure it a little bit. But once you do that, you don't have that chain 3 or chain 4, depending on how, you know, which row you're on to start. If you were starting with the space row, or if you were starting with just the double crochet. And to me, this looks way better and way more seamless. And even if you're a little loose and sloppy and you're trying this and it's under your arm, this is, again, a great way to hide this and start it and learn it. And then, you know, the other thing I'm a huge proponent of is try it. If it doesn't look that bad, keep going. Or if you're like, ugh, this is sloppy, what the heck is going on? Then just rip it out and try it again. And that repetition of practice, eventually it's going to look better, because I'm sure the first time I tried some of these, it didn't look great, to be honest. But once I started adding my rows in this manner, I don't think I'll ever go back. And I'm never going to do the ugly slip knot and then the chains, and then no, unless I absolutely have to. And in this cardigan, there are a few spots where I did the chain 3 or chain 4, depending, again, which row you're on. And it was more out of habit than anything. But because of the size of the garment, and then also just because I chose a yarn which is Premier Puzzle, and it's more marled and everything, you're not really going to see that. And I mean, if I passed it off to a crocheter at my knit night or whatever, and they really looked and dissected it, they might be able to find it. But the average person, like if I go to wear this to the office, no one's going to notice that, truthfully. I have totally switched over to that method. Similarly, I learned this technique sometime, I want to say last year. I don't remember exactly when, and I'm going to try my very best to search my watch history. This is going to take so much dedication to sift through with as much YouTube as I watch. So I'm going to do my best to credit the original creator who has this tutorial for this style of bringing up another new row instead of, you know, joining the row. When you bring it up to another new row, again, you're going to be using your thumbs and maybe your fingers and stuff a little bit, and it may look wonky as hell the first couple times you do it. Certainly, it's easier to learn the join because you're just so used to doing a double crochet already. It's just a matter of holding things in place until you get it secured to that foundation row. But when you're pulling it up and then you have to do this other manipulation to kind of work it around so it's not going to look exactly like a double crochet, but it's going to be so stinking close. It is worth taking the time and practicing several times to learn this, in my opinion. If you're looking at it and you hate it, or if you like seeing that seam build up, that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. This is your project. You do you. I just wish I had thought of this technique myself, because I really have this ick of seeing those initial chains. It took only, what, 40 something years to, well, okay, I didn't start crocheting until I was 5. So then really it's like 35, 36 years before I started learning this technique. And now I don't think I'm ever going back to the chain method unless I absolutely have to, or, you know, just out of habit. I will say, I don't know that I've tried this on a half double crochet start, so I can't speak to how nice that looks or doesn't look yet, and that may take practice for myself as well. But I really think that this is a great alternative, even when you get up into the treble crochets, which I forget what that is in UK terms. It's one of those things, like, I'll see the translations and then I'm like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. And then they fall out of my head in 5 minutes every single time. Those are just a few techniques that I've used throughout this. One other note on using Toni Lipsy's custom crochet cardigan is that she starts with widening the body. And I also wanted to add a little bit of length too. I wasn't sure how much at that point. So instead of just doing inward, I did do around until I went, I don't know exactly how long I want this yet, or how it's going to hang on me until a try on, you know, because you can kind of try on, but it's not quite the same when you just have one half that you're, you know, putting on your body. I just went around until I was like, okay, I think this might be done for length, or at least I need to think about it. And so that's what I did personally, instead of doing it in multiple steps. And then it actually just worked out that that's what I wanted. So yay for me. I guess, call it luck, call it intuition, years of just figuring out what not to do. Anyway, so that was just one adjustment from her tutorial that I did personally, because I knew I needed to add both. And that may not be common because, you know, I'm quite tall at 5'11", and I did need to come in, and I didn't want to come in too much because I've already been losing weight. This is already going to be kind of oversized, so I just kind of made a judgment call of where to stop. And I think it is at a good spot now where if I go ahead and add the ribbing in the center, if I want to go that route, it would be fine. Also, if I decide not to do center ribbing, I think that's also going to be totally okay. Originally, I wasn't going to do ribbing, so I didn't really think about that. And now that I've seen that like bomber style on a few others, I went, yeah, actually, I don't know why, I just kind of want that look. It's not really like anything I have, but I think that's why it's appealing to me. And also I like the idea that, you know, the cuff will kind of help secure, especially if I'm layering. And I do think that the cuff is going to look nice once I layer the pieces and everything. Oops, I'm starting to do my decrease. Except that originally I wasn't going to do that. I was just going to leave it open. And I think that's going to bug me more because I'm not someone who necessarily, okay, I like the look of the angel wing kinds of shirts. On a practical level, they drive me bonkers. Absolutely drive me nuts because there's no reason. So it just does. And so I decided I wanted that, you know, kind of bubbled in cuffed look. And then I saw the ones where it was either contrasting color or coordinating color. And then I'm like, I don't want the ribbed cuff to be all this, I don't know. I want it to be uniform, not colors all over. So, and especially, you know, if I go to pick up down here and do that ribbing, it's gonna get really weird and stripy, or weird in a different non-stripy pooly way. And even though like this, I think looks great in something that pools and kind of goes everywhere and gives it that like really, I don't want to say rustic. I don't know what I'm trying to say for the feel, but there's something super cozy and almost scrappy about it, but not too scrappy. I understand I have issues. I get it. hear me out on this, but I do really like this whole palette. And so now that Premier has the coordinating solids, of course I had to see what the coordinating solid was for this and then order it. And now it's saying December 18th, and today is November 30th. And I really hope the estimate is way off, because sometimes it is. So, and part of it is just because I really want to just finish something. I've just also had just a week. I've had a week. I don't feel like talking about it, but I've had a week, and I just thought it would feel good to like finish something and at least have that satisfaction. So even if I don't get the ribbing done, it is still technically going to be wearable and all that stuff. And so I will probably wear it just like that and add the ribbing later. I also, as much as I've finally come around on crochet ribbing and how it looks, or maybe there's better techniques out than there were way back when, I think I might pick up and knit the ribbing in the cuffs. Well, it's ribbing. That's going to be another whole like mental gymnastic and experiment of what needle size to use in relation to the hook, because they don't exactly necessarily match up. And so that's going to be real fun. Actually, maybe the ball band will give me some sort of inspiration. No, they both say 6 millimeters, which I actually went down to a 5.5 millimeter because I do crochet on the loose side. I'm going to have to see what I have for needles, and then I'm just going to have to try it. The other thing I really want to say try, and I say try even though I did it once before. It was so long ago. The rolled, I think it's like a rolled ribbing cuff. I haven't done that in so long. It's basically like I'm going to be doing it for the first time. And so that's a whole ton of fun. I've already made so many mistakes and ripped out so much stuff just in the past few days of just silliness, or going too far with the base hexagons and then having like gigundo sleeves. So what's a little bit more? Truthfully, I don't mind spending that extra effort on something like a sweater that I am going to wear a lot. We'll see where this goes. I guess at this point, I'm nearly done with the sleeves, and we'll just have to see how long it takes for the yarn to come in. I really hope the estimate is wrong. Hopefully, this is the opposite of what happened with the Jumbo Glitter Safety Eyes, and it comes sooner and not the other way around. Why do we do this to ourselves? Am I the only one that does stuff like this, that just like makes all these mid-project changes and then, I don't know. I guess I will see you when something is ready. I don't know when it's going to be. Well, today is December 5th, and it says the Premier Puzzle Solid has shipped. So hopefully that means I get it so much sooner. I don't know what the shipping timeline is. I actually forgot to check to see if it updated the expected arrival date, but I was like, oh my gosh, it shipped, because, you know, when I was expecting December 18th, I thought at least next week, late next week, it would update. So fingers crossed, and that it doesn't get too hung up with all of the holiday mail and packages and stuff like that. So we shall see. If you guessed that my yarn order would actually arrive on December 9th ahead of schedule, you would be wrong. And today is now December 15th, so I don't expect a delivery today. It's Sunday, but to be honest, Monday I was busy with some stuff. I actually was just in a situation where I really just needed to replace my vehicle. So I was so wrapped up in that I had completely forgotten I was expecting this yarn order on Monday. And it was probably not until Wednesday, I think, that I was like, hey, wait a minute, where did that yarn go? So then I go outside to make sure they didn't tuck it behind some potted plants or anything like that. And then I checked the app, and sure enough, they had no clue and no estimate. And so today I finally got an update that allegedly it will be in my possession tomorrow. Now, I do have some hope in that it is actually getting closer to me. It's in Ohio. So that's, I guess, at least a little reassuring because, you know, it went from North Carolina to past me, like out in Indiana or something. I don't remember. Like, all over the country, apparently. And then it was just sitting dubiously in transit. So who knows where it actually was at because they weren't even scanning it. So yeah. So we will see if I finally get my yarn tomorrow, the 16th, which would be 3 days. Was it 3 days or 2 days ahead of schedule, which is kind of a bummer. Of course, I was hoping to get it sooner, and especially when I did see it go to, I do think it was Indiana. I was like, okay, that's not that far away. Maybe I'll get it by, you know, the 9th. And then, yeah, another whole week has gone by, and we shall see. I have the yarn, and even when I was looking at the solids on Premier's website, I kind of questioned the solid pairings for the puzzle yarn. They tried to come up with solids that would coordinate and go with at least some part of this. And I nearly went with gray instead of the recommended, you know, color, which was sage. And I questioned it and I'm like, okay, but like, I guess, you know, I could kind of see where maybe a sage green would match some of these strands and I don't know. I mean, I guess you tell me. And this, oh my gosh, this looks even worse in the viewfinder. So, oh man. It doesn't even go with that. Okay, so I just know I'm not going to be happy with a stripy rib, and I know this is not it. I'm going to see if Walmart has like an exchange something. So obviously this came from Premier, directly from Premier, based on the packaging through, you know, a partnership with my Walmart Plus, you know, subscription. Which, actually, let's talk about that, because I figured I would only need maybe 1 or 2 skeins of this. And so if I went directly to the Premier website, I forget what the spend is. I want to say $75 for free shipping. And I really only needed 2, and I didn't want to buy any more. Well, okay, I always want to buy more yarn, but I was really trying not to spend more than I absolutely have to finish this project. And I believe these are $7.99 on Premier, and shipping for the 2 skeins would have been $9.99. If I go to the Shop app, like not Shopify, but Shop, it's like the purple handle thing where it like tracks all your purchases and stuff like that. I think it is in partnership with Shopify somehow. If I ordered just 1 or 2 skeins of something of Premier off of the Shop, you know, website app thing, I could get, I believe it was $4.99 shipping, but the price was still $7.99, but they didn't have the solids on the Shop app. But then when I go to Walmart, they have a decent-ish selection of, you know, both of these, and it's $9.99, but free shipping. So basically $4 of shipping through the Walmart partnership, whatever, which, fine. So I would love for someone at Premier to explain the math and economics on that one. Because, you know, I was born at night and, yeah. If you know the rest of that sentence, you know where I'm going with it. And since I have already determined in my mind that I am not going to take any sponsorships on this channel whatsoever, I don't care about calling out a brand like Premier. So just because I want to be able to speak freely about stuff like this. Like, why is it $9.99 or $4.99 or essentially $2 per skein? So I don't know. And then now you're telling me this is the coordinating solid for this yarn. Which again, I questioned and I thought, well, it's probably a screen thing. And again, you know, if you look really closely, there are like hints of green. So I was like, well, obviously this is, you know, brighter and more saturated green for the purpose of, you know, being on screen and photography and all that, except like, no, my screen wasn't that far off actually. So I guess that's good for me, except that now I've got this because, you know, I trusted Premiere. So the saga continues, and at this rate, I guess this is probably not going to get finished until, I don't know, January or February, which is fine because I did pause on it, partly because, you know, even though this was coming in the mail, I also went out with coworkers and we went bowling. And long story short, I have an old injury and I kind of forgot how much that would bother, you know, going bowling. I don't know. I wasn't sure. And so I am not crocheting as much. And then also I did decide to go ahead and make my mom a little rat. And then, of course, a cozy for her, you know, actual rats, like a little rat bed. This is from Niche Crochet. The pattern is pretty good. The tail is very fiddly to get started, which could be a me problem, not necessarily how he's written the pattern. So if I was the designer, I might have done it slightly differently, but it doesn't mean it's wrong. It just is a preference, and he may have tried it the way that I'm thinking that I would have done the tail, and it might not have turned out right. So obviously it's working out fine. I'm pausing here because I decided, wouldn't it be fun to try to get a pipe cleaner in here? And I don't have a color of pipe cleaner that would be good to put in here. I think I just have orange right now, or gold, or something that would, whatever it was, I was afraid of it showing through, and I would rather have like a white or a pink or a gray pipe cleaner in there. Am I the only one that like makes projects way more complicated than they need to be midway through? Because like so far this is 2 for 2 on the projects that I just made way more complicated, except that, you know, when I made the hexagon cardigan more complicated in that I wanted to do the contrast ribbing, I was not expecting thisness to happen. So I guess I will finish my mom's rat cozy. I will stop at Dollar Tree tomorrow during lunchtime and grab a pipe cleaner so I can finish the tail and sew it on. I'm debating if I'm going to leave the little leggies on or off because it's kind of cute just like this as like a little loaf rat, because apparently the crochet community loves everything in loaf form now. So I don't know, but the paws that he designed are also really cute if, you know, if you get the whole rat thing, which kind of I don't, but it's my mom, so kind of I do, and they are kind of cute, just not my type of effort investment for a pet. Cats are plenty. I don't need to clean out cages and beddings and all that other stuff. I guess I will do this, and then I don't know what I'm going to work on next, to be perfectly honest. Well, this has been an anticlimactic studio vlog so far, so I don't know when you are actually going to see this. I don't suppose I would be so lucky as to find the gray in store. Or a gray. Maybe at this point, I just need to pick a gray at not necessarily even Walmart, any store. I guess there's a Joann's and the Dollar Tree Plaza by work, so maybe that's the play. Stay tuned. If you guessed that this vlog would get further off the rails, you would be right. So I did run to Joann's and I picked 2 yarns that I thought might work for this hexagon cardigan. And again, this is a little bit too green. I could probably get away with it. It wouldn't be too terrible, to be honest. I just don't know that I'm feeling this. And since this leans a lot bluer, I would have preferred to go the more blue end of aqua teal. So I did, because it was on sale, grab a gray, which I think would work, except that to me, there is a noticeable difference in the thickness, even though they're both chunky 5-weight yarns. It's not terrible. I think it's just going to bother me enough that I did decide to go ahead and order the gray that will coordinate with this from the Premier Puzzle Solids, even though on the chart the gray didn't match up with this, which I find strange, but we'll see how that goes. The new estimated shipment date is now January 10th, so I don't think that I am going to finish this in this vlog. It is technically wearable, it just won't have any borders or cuffs on them, and I think that's probably okay if I decide I do want to go ahead and wear this. It's just disappointing because I thought I would be done, or at least getting into the home stretch and finish it for this video, but this is looking like a January project for sure, at least for a finish on it, which is still fine, because even if the yarn does come early, I'll be actually really curious to see what the shipping difference is because of what happened with, well, the sage that I have set aside for the return. Because it says January 10th, and I did hit other options to see if there was a faster shipping option, and benevolently, Premier would charge me $5.99 to get it 1 day sooner. So I'm still curious about the economics logic over at Premier, and how they think that $5.99 would entice me to get it, you know, a whole day sooner. A week sooner, I actually might have paid it, on top of the fact that it's $9.99 a skein at, you know, through the Walmart app instead of the $7.99, just because I really do want to go ahead and get this done. So if they would have offered a true expedited shipping option for that $5.99, I might have done it at this point. But it's going to be okay. It's still going to get done. So this is even more anticlimactic. The suspense continues. I don't know on this one. It will get finished this decade if I have anything to do with it. But I did finish a project, and I guess you could argue I finished 2 projects technically. I did finish this little rat, and I did decide to go ahead and put his cute little feetsies on there because it's just cute. For some reason, the ears didn't turn out quite the same as they look in the Niche Crochet pattern for this, you know, rat. So either I missed a piece of instruction, or it's just we sewed them on slightly differently, but it's still, I think it's still really cute. I think his pattern is very thorough. There's multiple ways of showing things. Also, there are links for certain things. I think in particular, I used the feet one, which, to be honest, I don't know that I needed the video tutorial for the instructions on the feet. It was just, I came home Friday night and it had been a week at work and I didn't want to have to like think through the pictures and the fact that there was a video link. I just went, sure. And it was a fantastic video to the extent that I only watched half of it and I was able to get the rest of it. No problem, nothing like that. I did do the pipe cleaner in the tail just to add a little bit of fun. I would definitely recommend this if you have a rat lover in your life. He turned out awfully cute. And then I freehanded this kind of little cocoon cozy because I thought that would be fun. And also I had, you know, more yarn from the hexagon cardigan left over. And since my mom did not want me to buy her anything for Christmas, I technically almost did not. I did buy the pink because I didn't like the pink that I had in my stash. So she doesn't need to know that because I would probably use pink anyway. And I got it from Dollar Tree. So it was a whole $1.25. And then her rats can obviously use this, but I think this would be a cute presentation for her present. So I just need to find a small box, which I'm sure I have laying around somewhere, as I always do. And then I'm going to go ahead and use this gift wrap, which I found from Target a few years ago. And I like to use it whenever I gift something handmade, and most people don't even like put it together, but I still get enjoyment out of wrapping anything that I make handmade out of this, kind of knit print. And I know this is crochet, but this is what Target had, and it's fine. So also this week, my department, along with Human Resources, decided to do a little bit of a mini holiday celebration, and someone coordinated a Secret Santa. So we left work like an hour early to go bowling, and then did a gift exchange while we were out at the bowling alley. It was so much fun, and I got this. It's been on my Christmas wish list for a little bit now, so I'm very happy that my Secret Santa got me, the book that I've been wanting, and it's super adorable. I haven't actually had a chance to look all the way through this yet. There's a ton of cute little things that I want to make. The plants, the turtles probably. The duck. The duck is going to be cute. He got kind of cut off here, but yay that I got this finally. Other than that, I made a little bit of progress on that like raspberry pink sweater, but not a ton. There were times this past month where I really just didn't have any mojo to knit, or, we went bowling and then I started my mom's stuff, and then all of that put together was really smart with, an old injury, and then I physically couldn't do anything really for the next few days. It's fine. It was still worth it. I still really enjoyed going bowling. 10 out of 10 would do it again, which is strange, but I think it was just like the perfect size group that there were 8 of us, and it wasn't like this big overwhelming Christmas party with the whole company, and that you're like rushing home to clean up and then go to some party center 45 minutes in another direction to go eat lukewarm, dried out banquet food. You know how those parties go. So I'm really glad that we just did it sort of this way instead of having a big company-wide thing, and that each department can kind of just pick and choose what to do for the holidays if they choose to do anything for the holidays or year-end celebration. So I've essentially finished technically one project, 2 things, 1 project, and that's all I crocheted this month, and I'm still perfectly happy with it. I'm glad I didn't put any crazy pressure on myself. Even this, I didn't really put any pressure on myself for. It would have been nice to make this for my mom for Christmas or her birthday on the 30th, but these were relatively small, quick items. If you were also not the most productive person for your holiday crochet or knitting or crafting or any kind of crafting for that matter, you're not alone. I think it's totally okay to do things for the sake of enjoying them instead of feeling like I have to be like a little production factory of crocheted or knit items. I do have the urge to work on something. I'm very much struggling to stave off what I would call start-itis, which is start a bunch of stuff or start a new thing, especially since I have other stuff going on. So I do think this evening I'm probably going to go ahead and work on the raspberry cardigan. It's definitely also not going to get finished for this vlog because even if I finished the body, I still have a lot of sleeve to go, and it's gonna be a while before that one's done as well. So I think that's part of it, is that, some of my projects are bigger, or longer term commitments than, something quick like this. And then also I'm just having issues with yarn and yarn pairing. Hopefully I'll also have some brainstorms for that for early next year. Anyway, if you spent this time knitting or crocheting with me or just hanging out in general, thank you so much for stopping by. And as always, I cannot wait to visit with you in the next one. Bye.
Oh,